This map illustrates the current density of the most practiced religion on Earth. Today, roughly 2.3 billion people, nearly a third of the human population, identify as Christian, living and worshiping in almost every country on the planet. Yet in 30 AD, this movement consisted of a tiny group of followers in the Roman province of Judea, reeling from the execution of their founder by crucifixion. At its inception, this early sect possessed zero political influence, no state backing, and no military force. They were marginalized outsiders operating in a vast empire that largely viewed them with suspicion. That jump from a desolate province to a global majority was driven by specific shifts in how the religion interacted with power, moving from grassroots networks to imperial alliances, and finally to maritime expansion. Examining this history allows us to reverse engineer the mechanics that turned a localized belief into a global superpower. The first phase of expansion relied on a viral, decentralized model. Apostles like Paul traveled across the Mediterranean, establishing small, dedicated networks of followers in urban centers, from North Africa to Italy. By the year 100 AD, this growing network had a codified anchor. As seen in this early Latin manuscript, the completion of the four Gospels provided a standardized, easily transmissible text that kept the belief system consistent across vast distances. This growth occurred under extreme pressure. Christian communities faced systemic, often lethal persecution by Roman emperors, who viewed this singular devotion as a threat to their own divine authority. Despite centuries of state-sanctioned violence, this decentralized foundation proved impossible for the Roman authorities to fully eradicate. The strategy shifted in 312 AD, when Emperor Constantine legalized a faith. Almost overnight, the religion gained the full logistical and political backing of the Roman Empire. This introduced a top-down growth model. Missionaries realized that securing the conversion of a single influential monarch often resulted in the automatic conversion of entire realms, significantly accelerating the rate of expansion. State backing eventually led to more aggressive enforcement. Leaders like Charlemagne expanded their borders across Europe, frequently bringing new subjects into the faith through military conquest. This militarized identity fueled centuries of conflict over territory. The fortified stone walls of the Church of the Holy Sepulchre stand as a physical reminder of the high stakes and violence surrounding the Crusades. These imperial alliances changed the character of the movement, turning a fringe network of believers into a compulsory, state-sponsored identity. The third phase of growth was driven by maritime exploration. With the Treaty of Tordesillas, the Pope functionally divided the newly discovered lands of the Americas between the Catholic powers of Spain and Portugal. Wherever colonial fleets landed, the forced eradication of native religions followed. In Peru, Brazil, and across New Spain, the faith was imposed as a central pillar of colonial administration. While the Reformation splintered the Church in Europe, technology accelerated its reach. This mechanical press allowed for the mass production and distribution of translated Bibles, industrializing the spread of ideas. In the 19th century, the faith rode the coattails of European imperialism deep into Central Africa. Missionaries like David Livingstone crossed massive geographical barriers, mapping sites like Victoria Falls while establishing new outposts for the religion. The physical establishment of these colonial missions relied on individuals who embedded themselves into local cultures, spending decades preaching and establishing the church's local infrastructure. Through the combined reach of trade routes, naval fleets, and the transatlantic slave trade, the machinery of global colonialism gave the faith its truly intercontinental footprint. In the 20th century, this global network was tested by the rise of communist regimes. In the Soviet Union and China, governments actively dismantled church buildings and attempted to erase the religion through state-sanctioned violence. These attempts to kill the underlying network failed. When Soviet oppression collapsed, churches re-emerged with widespread popular support, having survived as an underground community. That resilience remains visible today. In modern China, millions of practitioners continue to gather and worship, even under tight state regulation. This 2,000-year cycle relied on a compounding effect: grassroots believers braving the unknown, monarchs leveraging the faith for power, and empires crossing the world's oceans. This trajectory has resulted in a presence in nearly every country on Earth, a journey spanning 2 millennia that saw a provincial movement transform into a global majority.